Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hope so you all are fine, good and healthy. Well, student, the topic which we are going to discuss today is the chapter number 12, coordination and control. Let's to its introduction. Well, once student it's come on the unicellular organism, then yes, unicellular organism used to work independently. But when it's come on the multicellular organisms, then all the tissues and the organelles used to work with each other. They used to work with each other to perform a proper function of a body. So this basically the working together strategy is known as a coordination. They do have the coordination with each other. Like when it's come on speaking, that you are not only just using your tongue, you are using your lips, you are using your cheeks, you are giving the facial expression, you are thinking, then you use to speak, you are utilizing your brain. In fact, you also used to do like the movement of your muscles while speaking. Similarly, if let's suppose a teacher is delivering a lecture, then teacher is not only just speaking, but it is all she's also using the whiteboard. She's also actually taking the round. She's watching you. She used to do the giving the facial expressions. She's also using her hands. So you can see that in a single function like only delivering a lecture, body is basically functioning with each other. The body is basically coordinating with each other to perform a best function. So how that like this basically is happening how? Basically students, the all body function is basically the body is basically coordinating with like the organelles and the tissues of the body is coordinating with each other to perform a proper function. So let's take a common example. Let's suppose a player is actually trying to catch a ball. Let's suppose a person is playing cricket. So even in playing the game, even in the catching of the ball, you can see a player will run. So while running, he is using his skeleton muscles. He is using his skeleton, he is using his muscles, he is actually using his coordinating system. So he is going to catch in a ball. His sensory organ will send the message to the brain, and brain will send the message to the muscles, and then muscles are going to contract and they are going to perform a proper function. And it is not only that only the muscles are going to contract. There are also some other organelles are going or organs that are also going to perform with their proper function, like the respiratory rate, respiration, like it is going to balance itself. Similarly, the heartbeat will remain the same. Similarly, the blood pressure. So while running, the body will try to maintain the respiratory system like beating, like you can say breath rate. Similarly, while running, the body will try to balance the heartbeat as well as the blood pressure. So body is trying to maintain these all things, as well as the body will try to remove the maximum heat out of the system, out of the bodies, by like producing the sweat. So let's suppose if you are going to take your own example, you are running, you are doing some kind of a tough exercise, you will say you will start taking the breath, your means your breath rate will increase. Similarly, your heartbeat is going to increase. In fact, your body is going to produce the sweat. So why this is happening? Basically, this is happening to maintain the oxygen level inside the body, to maintain the normal heartbeat, as well as to maintain the blood pressure and to remove out the excessive temperature from the body. So this is better basically known as the coordination. The body used to do the coordination with the body organelles, organs, tissues, they all used to do the coordination with each other to perform a proper function. Similarly, better if you're going to take the example of a school, so there is a coordination between the teachers, between a principal, between students. So that's why a system is able to run. So students, we are going to discuss that how a body is going to work as a one unit, how they are able to coordinate with each other, which system is present in the human body so that the human is able to work as a one unit, that all the system is coordinating with each other. So this thing we are going to discuss in this chapter. So, students, if we are going to discuss about that how a body is coordinating with each other, then basically there are two systems. There are two types of the coordinations are there, and which coordinations are basically they? The nervous coordination as well as the hormonal coordination. So two types of the coordination are present in the body, due to which our body is able to perform a proper function. So if it's come under the nervous coordination, then the nervous system, which is brought by the nerve cells, and with this we are going to study in detail, inshallah ta'ala. So the nervous coordination is actually brought by the help of the nerve system or nervous system, that includes the nerves, that includes the brain, that includes the spinal cord. Inshallah, we are going to discuss this thing in detail, and the example of walking, writing, reading, speaking, running. So these all things are actually basically coming under the nervous system. Uh, the other type is the hormonal coordination. The hormonal coordination is basically the actually endocrine system comes under the heading of the hormonal coordination, and this endocrine system basically brought by a chemical coordination. You can say the hormonal coordination also name is the chemical coordination, that chemicals are produced by the body to control the, you can say, to controls the activity of the body. Like most common example are like body growth. Your growth comes under the chemical coordination. It comes under the endocrine system. Like let's suppose it is not like that, okay, one day your height is 1 feet and other day your height is going to be 6 feet. No, it is basically it is a slow process. It happens slowly and gradually. So this actually come under the chemical coordination. So the reproduction, food, the digestion, this all of the activity is basically like glucose used to digest in the body or distribute in the cells. So these all things are basically come under the heading of the, exactly, under the heading of the chemical coordination. So inshallah ta'ala, in this chapter we are going to discuss these both things, and let's discuss some first a most major topic. And what is that, students? Okay, so students, now we are going to discuss about the coordination action. Let's suppose we have learned that the coordination is going to occur by the chemical system as well as by the nervous system. But how in a coordination going to bring an action? So it basically involves some major steps like stimulus. It will include the receptor, it will include the coordinator, and then a factor, and then response. So one by one, this is better. Basically, what is that? A stimulus will activate the receptor, a receptor will move activate the coordinator, coordinator will move activate the factor, and a factor will give the response. So this is basically a stair from up to down to get a response. Let's suppose you are looking at the light, okay, and or you can say that you, when a sharp light is going to come in front of your eyes will abruptly close. So your eyes have given the response, and light have bring something, like light was something, a factor which provoke a change in yourself. So this bit we are going to discuss step by step, that what is a stimulus, and then we will discuss receptor, coordinator, effector, and response. So yes, students, what is basically the stimulus? So if we are going to discuss about the stimulus, then let me to tell you that what is a stimulus. Basically, because stimulus is any kind of the factor, any environmental factor, you can say, any kind of the, you can say, that environmental factor, and that could be external or it could be internal. So what is basically a stimulus? Any kind of the environmental factor, whether it could be internal or whether it could be the external, which can provoke a response in organisms. So any kind of the factor which can provoke a response in the organism is known as a stimulus. Let's suppose, let me to give you the example. Have you ever seen a sunflower? The sunflower is always used to face the light. So sun is basically a stimulus for the sunflower, because sun is that factor which is bringing the change in a sunflower. So a sun is basically a stimulus that is provoking a response or provoking a change in the living organism, that is a sunflower. Similarly, students, if you have ever seen, like if you are going to touch any kind of the hot thing, you are going to take your hand away. So what is that hot object? That was a stimulus which is bringing a change in your body, which is provoking a change. So if we are going to discuss about the stimulus, then how we are going to define the stimulus? Students, if we are going to discuss about the stimulus, then the most common stimulus, as I told you before, that the stimulus is a factor, any kind of the factor, the environmental factor that is actually bringing a change or provoking a response in the organism. Let's suppose, beta, if you're going to see something, a sight is also a good stimulus. If you're going to see something, but you are going to give any kind of response. Similarly, sound, if you're going to hear the sharp sound, then you are going to give the response. If you're going to hear the like any kind of the sound, when you are going to hear, you're going to give the response. So basically this sound is also a stimulus. Similarly, smell, taste, texture. So as well as you can also touch texture like skin. So if anything is touching you, you are going to give the response. Let's suppose you are standing, and if somebody is going to touch you from your back, you abruptly say, oh, you used to get afraid of this. So this is a response. And what was a stimulus? A stimulus, now you can define the stimulus like that. A stimulus is any kind of the internal or external environmental factor which can provoke a change in a living organism. So this is basically a stimulus. Hope so you get that. Okay, so after stimulus, what come? After the stimulus, it's come receptor. So what is basically receptor? Listen to me very carefully. Receptor could be any kind of the organ. It could be any kind of cell. It could be any type of the tissue which is going to detect any special kind of the stimulus will be known as a receptor. So what is a receptor, student? Receptor, you have to listen me very carefully. What is a receptor? Basically, receptor is any kind of the special kind of the organ or cell or tissue which is going to detect stimulus. Okay? It is stimulus. So you can say that receptor is any kind of the specialized organ, cell or tissue which is going to detect the stimulus. Let's suppose a sight is a stimulus, and you know very well a sight is going to detect by your eyes. So eyes is a special type of the organ which is basically you can say the eye is a receptor which used to detect a specific stimulus, that is a sight. Similarly, sound used to produce, you know what, that ear is basically used to detect the sound waves. That ear is basically a specific receptor or the organ which used to detect the sound waves. Similarly, if it's come a smell, then you know very well the nose is the best receptor which used to detect the smell or any chemicals, fumes like so the nose is basically that receptor which is detecting this stimulus. Similarly, if it come on the taste, then that is a tongue. And if it's come on texture, then that is a skin. The skin used to basically feel each and everything. So this is basically beta. What is that? This is receptor. So the receptor can detect any kind of the stimulus. Receptor is basically any kind of the special organ, cell or the tissue which is going to detect a specific stimulus. So after the students, after the receptor, the coordination used to like the coordinator. The next thing is the coordinator. Yes, the receptors have basically sensed it. Like after the stimulus, you know what stimulus basically provoke a change in the receptor. Okay, a receptor is the one which detect the stimulus. Now what? Now basically there should be a coordinator. A coordinator will receive the message from the receptor and will send it to the effector. What is the coordinator doing? A coordinator will receive the message from the receptor and will send it to the effector. Let's suppose, students, let me to give you the example. Let's suppose if you are taking the there's a sharp light is a stimulus, and you are actually the basically light is irritating your eyes, and eyes is the receptor. Now eyes will send the message to the coordinator, and then coordinator will send message to effector. Now the eyes will send the message to what I have to do, what the eyes need to do, whether they are going to close, whether they are going to keep open. So the coordinator will decide, and in the nervous system the coordinator mostly is the brain and spinal cord, while in the endocrine system the coordinator used to be a endocrine glands. Okay, so beta, if we are going to discuss about the nerve in the nervous system, then the coordinator is the brain and spinal cord, while in the chemical, like in the chemical system, the coordinator is the endocrine gland. And now what, that these endocrine glands will receive the message from the receptors and will send to the effector. They're receiving the message through any kind of the chemicals. ठीक है, मतलब कोई भी chemical जो है वो coordinate endocrine gland तक जाएगा, any kind of the chemical. And now endocrine glands will send message to the effector, and it could be kind of any kind of the hormone. ठीक है, any kind of the hormone which is going to release in the blood. Let's suppose बेटा there is a growth hormone. ठीक है, there's a reproductive hormones there are. So the endocrine gland will activate any kind of the hormone that will be the effector. Similarly, if we are going to discuss about the nervous system, then it will receive the message from the receptor, and brain or the spinal cord can be the coordinator, and they are going to send the message through the nerve cells. Are you getting my point? They are going to send the message through the nerve cells in the form of the nerve impulses. You know very well, you have learned about the neuron cell, the nerve cell, which used to carry the information in the nerve impulses form, like in the electric wave form. So it is like that, beta. There are two types of the coordinators, because we have two type of the nervous system. We have two type of the coordinating system. So first is the nervous system, in which the brain or the spinal cord is the coordinator. Okay, but in the case of the chemical system, so the endocrine gland will be the coordinator, and it will be send the message in the form of the hormones to the effector. So hope so you get that. Okay, now students, what after the coordinator, the coordinator is going to send the message to the effector. So what is basically effector? How we are going to define the effector? Effector is the one which used to receive message from coordinator. So effector is the one which is going to receive the message from the coordinator. Let's suppose beta, if you're looking at the sun, now your eyes are actually is basically the receptor which is detecting the light. Now it is sending message to the brain that what now I have to do. Now brain will send the message to the effector, and effector could be the eye muscles. Is it clear to you? The effector could be eye muscles, that brain will send the message to the eye muscles, or you can say spinal cord will send the message to the eye muscles. So eye muscles will be the effector. So effector is the one which is basically receiving the message. So in the nervous system, mostly the muscles are basically effector, while in the endocrine system the hormones used to be the effectors. The hormones used to be effectors. In the nervous system, the muscles mostly used to be the effector, while in the endocrine system, the hormones used to be the effectors. Because let's suppose if there is an age of like 1 month, so the body is going to get, the endocrine gland is going to send the message to the effector that activate the growth hormone, because this is a time of growing age. Okay, this is the age of the growth. So the effector will endocrine system will activate the hormones in the blood, and then a body start growing. Similarly, beta, in the case of the nervous system, basically keep in your mind the endocrine system is a slow process, while nervous system is fast as an electricity. Is it clear to you? So that's why the nervous system's effectors are muscles, and endocrine effectors are the hormones. Now effectors will give the message to the muscles. Sorry, better listen to me. The effector will receive the message. Let me to clean it first. So what is going on here, students? Listen to me. The effector will receive the message from the coordinator. Now in response to that, the effector will give such a response. After receiving the message from the coordinator, the effector will give the response. Response means beta, the behavior after receiving the message from the coordinator. Effector are the one which are receiving the message, and the behavior which is going to done by the effector will be the response. Now it is very simply, let's suppose you are looking at the light and now your eyes are detecting that stimulus, because your eyes are receptors and they are going to give the message to the coordinator. Now brain will detect it and will give the message to the eye muscle that close yourself, like they are going to give the order to the message to the eyelids that close yourself. And then now effector have received the message from the coordinator, and now your eyelids will close, cover the eye. So this is a response. So response you are going to get after the, means whatever the effector is going to do, the behavior of the effector will be considered the response. So students, if you are going to look this image, then you are going to get it more clearly about the nervous coordination and the chemical coordination. So in the nervous coordination, you are going to see that receptor is basically the sensory organs like eye, ear, nose, or skin, or you can say that it is a skin, and moreover like ears, tongue. So your sensory organs will be the receptors. They are going to detect the stimulus, and then they are going to send the message to the brain and the spinal cord. Now brain and spinal cord will be the coordinators, and they are going to send the message to the effectors. They are going to send the message to what? To the effectors. So you can see here clearly that they are going to send the message to the effector, and the effectors are basically muscles and the glands. So any kind of the muscle will be the effector of this, or any kind of the gland, which we are going to study in detail. But keep in your mind students, the nervous coordination is the for the short time. Okay, its stimulus is going to, its response is going to remain for the short time. So the nervous coordination response is for short time and very rapidly. Let's suppose you are touching the hot object. Okay, this hot object is the stimulus for you. Your skin have touched the hot object. So what is going to do now? Your skin is going to is a receptor after touching the hot object, and now this message will be sent to the spinal cord. Now your spinal cord is the coordinator, and spinal cord have sent it message back to the muscles, that muscles are effectors. And what is the response? The response is that to take away your hand. Okay, so you have seen that this response is very rapid but for short time. But in the case of chemicals, if we are going to discuss the case of the chemical, we are going to discuss about the case of the chemical, then what is that students? Listen to me. Hold on. Whether I don't know whether it's working or not. Okay, yes. So if we are going to discuss, so you can see in that image beta, that is a chemical coordination. The receptor is a body part. It is any kind of the body part. So it is actually sending the message through a blood to the endocrine. Like in that case, you can say the blood could be the receptor. Okay, any kind of the body part, and the message will be sent in that message will be sent to the blood. Okay, so chemicals are going to travel through the blood, and then this message will be received by a coordinator, that is the endocrine gland, and these endocrine glands will give the message to the effectors, and effector could be bone, liver, etc. And how this message will be in the form of the hormones. This message will travel in the form of the hormones, as I told you before. Now basically the chemical coordination is a very slow process, but it is a for long time. Just check it out, your growth. It is your growth. You used to grow, you used to increase your growth slowly and gradually. It is basically a very long procedure and slow procedure. You used to grow a very slowly and gradually. So basically the growth process, you have seen that it is basically a chemical coordination, and it is quite slow process but a long lasting process. So my dear students, you get about that each and everything that what we have learned in this video. So students, we have basically learned about the stimulus. Basically stimulus is the one which used to provoke any kind of the change in the living organism. So it could be sound, light, smell, sight, anything. Okay, so now the message will be sent to the, like, who is going to receive the response, who is going to receive the stimulus, that will be the receptor. So receptor could be your sensory organs like eye, ear, nose, and whatever. They're going to send the message to the coordinator. Coordinator could be spinal cord, brain, or it could be the endocrine gland. Now from the coordinator, the message will be sent towards the effector, and effector could be like any thing which is able to receive the message from the coordinator, like it could be muscles, it could be glands, it could be liver, it could be your heart, it could be your any kind of the organ, your kidney, your liver, anything. Now whatever the factor after receiving the coordinator message, whatever they are going to behave will be considered as a response. So response could be like movement of your eyes, your speaking, your movement, your body language, whatever. So it could be the behavior, you're walking, you're running, you're in fact you're taking your hand away, your growth, your the reproduction processes all will come under the heading of the response. So hope so you get the lecture. If you have any query, you can just comment me and I will try to solve your queries. So best of luck, and try to enjoy the lesson, make the notes, learn them, make the audios, so that you are going to get each and everything more clearly. So best of luck. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.